guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rise. We're back here at Tasca Buick GMC in Palm Harbor, and guess what? I have that legendary name with a bit of a different twist here next to me. What am I talking about? I'm talking about this vehicle right here. This is a 2025 GMC Hummer. Yes, it's the Hummer EV, but I love the fact that it's the Hummer EV SUV. This particular one is a 2X. But before we get into this outstanding color called Graphite Blue on this Hummer, let's talk about what's going on here. So if you go back to the original Hummers, those were military grade vehicles. It was Arnold Schwarzenegger, yes, with some other people in the automotive industry that made his vision come true of having a Hummer for a daily driven vehicle on public roads. Now that was the Hummer H1. Of course, there would be later generations, the Hummer H2, obviously the last of its kind, the H3, and you could get that in a truck form with a bed. And then because of that recession, the housing recession, all of these different changes in the economy, Hummer disappeared forever. Now this vehicle uses the name Hummer, but does things that a lot of old school Hummers could do, but with a different way of getting to the end goal. Instead of an internal combustion engine, we have electrification. Now, when it comes to new SUVs, there's so many to choose from, whether you go electrified or go good old-fashioned ICE, internal combustion engine. What I want to find out is this a must-own when it comes to that new SUV? Why don't we go ahead, let's dive into our 2X version of the Hummer EV SUV and see if we can find out. Right off the bat, the color. It is spectacular in the Florida sun. Look at all that metal flake, more than a Bass Pro Shop fishing boat. All that metal flake gives it a nice sparkle. You'll notice the fender flare with the carbon flash metallic, and then the headlights. H is the letter of the day, and it's all about that full LED lighting at the front. Really love the way they have that vertical amber turn signal. And then working our way down, you're gonna have the actual headlights and the pod located with the bumper. So split level, but love the fact that the lighting goes all the way across the front of the vehicle. You'll notice how they carve out the bumper, give you a little bit more, approach angle, a little bit more wheel travel, because this is meant to go on-road and off-road. And then as we come across the front, really love the way it's illuminated. You can see the Hummer name in there. And then working our way down, this is where you find one of the only GMC badges. General Motors Truck Company. I like the way it's in that gray finish. Fully functional with the gloss black. You do have a forward-facing camera. And then you have these tow recovery hooks that belong on the front of a Mack pickup truck. But the front of this thing is just a beast. Now you do have adaptive air ride suspension. You could raise and lower this Hummer EV SUV. It does crab walk because it also has rear wheel steer. And this particular one, being a 2X, has two electric motors. One motor up front, one motor out back. But you'll notice on the bottom, you got that stamped steel, and there's also metal skid plates all the way across the bottom of this, of course, to protect the battery pack. But when it comes to style, I feel like they nailed it. They just nailed it with the look of this Hummer EV SUV. Now, as we rise up, you got that big, bold hood, not as large as the truck, the Hummer EV truck, and I'm happy about that. But I love the way it's got that nice kind of boldness to it. You have your bit of carbon flash metallic. Up top, we got our auxiliary lights, LED amber auxiliary lights. And then as we come around the bend, what in the heck are we working with? Wheel and tires. So you'll notice on this 2X, You got these gloss black wheels. Notice how they take the H design all the way around, and it's got the HEV badging in the side. 22-inch wheel. Tires are 305 on the width, 55 series sidewall, and then Steven's gonna zoom on in to show you the adaptive air ride suspension. There's the suspension system right there. Each corner obviously has that capability. But just sitting here, I love the style of the wheel with the paint job. It just looks spectacular, and it's a shame that you can't get one of these with an actual internal combustion engine underneath the hood. But let me know what you think about the wheel and the tire. Obviously, we have some light off-roading tires. These are those Goodyear Wrangler Territory all-terrain tires with the shielding. As we rise back up, you'll notice how they sculpt that fender flare. Nothing too high, looks great. Up top, that's your location of the 2X badge. And then from the side of this vehicle, you can see the overall dimensions are a little bit smaller than the truck. Now, you're still gonna get the Infinity removable roof panels, and you're gonna have your mirrors on the side with the body color. Love that graphite blue. We got more cameras than what they used on the freaking moon landing back in 1969. The HEV badge. Carbon flash metallic along the bottom, and I love the way the running boards, the fixed running boards, are just nicely placed down there with that lithium ion battery pack. We keep working our way towards the rear. Look at the design. Just really, really nice. They even put the American flag in there. And then the way they do the flared fenders, both at the rear and the front, gives it that nice Hummer aggressive look. Now, coming towards the rear as we swing around, good size on the quarter window. Here's where you're gonna have all of your charging taking place, right at the rear of the vehicle. And then at the back, it's just super clean. No rear wiper exposed. You got your third brake light across the top with the auxiliary lights. We have our full-size spare mounted nicely. And then you'll notice how they did the carbon flash metallic on that rear bumper. And then as we come down, you do have your full tow accessories. So you got your receiver right here, full tow capability, all your plugins, and then of course another GMC badge, just to let people know this is a GMC. It's not a Hummer branded vehicle. This is a Hummer model within the GMC family. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and see what the heck is underneath it. All right guys, time to get underneath the hood. We're gonna do it with the key fob here, push the button. You're gonna have that nice electric assist. Underneath, no engine. What you're gonna have is a front mounted trunk. You have your bag of charging accessories. And remember, you can charge this on a Tesla supercharger. You even have a 12 volt nicely placed on the right-hand side. That would be the driver's side. But what do we have power-wise? So with this being a 2X, you have two electric motors, 570 horsepower. It obviously has all-wheel drive, 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. The vehicle weighs right around 9,000 pounds. It has a range of 311 miles and can charge on a DC fast charger 100 miles in just 10 minutes, and you could tow up to 7,500 pounds. Now, I'm quite surprised that they don't have any other outlets in here, like a USB, C or A, or a home power source. So that's gonna be a bit of a zonk, but it is nice to have that front mounted trunk. And then of course, we're gonna close her. Nice electric, come on down. But now it's time, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let me turn this thing on and see it roll. All right, guys, we're inside this Graphite Blue 2025 GMC Hummer EV SUV 2X. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I tell you, when I was a kid, I always wanted a Hummer. I wanted to just drive one and be like the Kool-Aid man and ram it right through the wall of a house. I still have those dreams, but I'm kind of liking this Hummer EV SUV, especially with all the cool things it could do, like crab walk. But how much is it? Very good question. MSRP for this particular one is $99,820. Hummers were always expensive, no matter what generation you were looking at, but it is quite a bit of a chunk of change, so to speak. But let's see what you get. To the door panels, I do love the two-tone. Really gives it that kind of moon vibe, and that's a lot of the reasons why they call things certain names with the Hummer EV is because of the moon. So you have the soft touch up top, you have that white contrasting, it's like a off-white, and then there's no gloss black around the switchgear, which is nice. Love the way it's got the Hummer EV name embossed right in the middle of the armrest. Door pocket is nice and tight for those Yeti bottles, but you're not going to be able to put any food in there. So that's the sad news. Look at the speaker grill cover. That's actually a map, a lunar map of the surface of the moon. And of course, we got the Bose sound system. Now, going from the door panel to the dash, those vertical H-shaped AC vents with the Hummer name, the two-tone. Love the copper bronze finish. Slide on in. You have your over 13-inch infotainment system, full touchscreen capability. Of course, we have a real volume knob, which is nice. And then here's all the different sort of information you could access. And notice how they do the surface of the moon in all the graphics and everything. We got cameras out the wazoo. This thing is like a recording movie studio of cameras. Unbelievable how many different angles, even cameras underneath the vehicle, which is crazy. Then on top of that, we can go into our different graphs and measurements, pitch and roll. You got auxiliary switches. You can get a winch. You can get all sorts of accessories, an air horn, and you even have your different drive modes, which is nice as well, that you could scroll through. Look at the graphics. That looks absolutely killer. Of course, you got one pedal operation, you got terrain mode, tow mode, every single mode you could think of, including crab walk. Yes, you get crab walk as well. And then we're right back where we basically started. Here's where we started with the map. Working your way down, we got real toggle switches to make adjustments to the AC. You have dual climate, and you have heated and ventilated seats. Like the way you use the toggle switches instead of touching the screen. So much more effective. Heated steering wheel. Down below, you got your two horizontal AC vents. Open the door, what do we have? Wireless charging, USB-A, USB-C. I'll close the door, I like the gray finish. Down below, you could put your space boots, you could put your cowboy boots, or you could put your clown shoes, depending on who you are. Electric shifter for the direct drive transmission. You got your mode selector switch. You could raise and lower your Hummer, and you could go into crab walk, all real easy. You just push the button, and that's gonna activate those things. Two cup holders with your Hummer GMC key fob. So it is a specific key fob for the Hummer, whether it's the truck or the SUV. Nice soft touch material, place for your phone. Lift it up, look at this. Tons of room. You could actually take that Tom Brady football that you bought off of eBay for $5,000. You could put it in here and keep it because it's autographed. He kissed it, and he took a picture with it lying in bed and gave it to you with the football. And there's a 12 volt in here. So that's nice as well. And I love this party tray. This is perfect for nachos, maybe some chips and guac, maybe even like Steven loves honey roasted peanuts. I mean, you could just, he would have a field day with that party tray. And then the material, nice soft, perforated. You got the Hummer EV badge, the two-tone, full electric assist for the passenger, full electric assist for the driver. Like I said, we got the Xfinity roof panels, which are removable. And to top it off, of course, you're going to have a digital rear view mirror. But why don't you come over here to the business end? I want to show you behind the wheel in this Hummer EV SUV. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel. You do have 2 memory seat settings for the driver's seat, and there is a nice aluminum sill plate there with the Hummer kind of design put into it. You do have your power seat controls, easy to get to. Seats are comfortable and supportive, and even with the removable roof panels, there's lots of room. The good news is, if you need more room, just remove the roof panel. Duh. Steering wheel, the leather, we do have Super Cruise. And you do have flat black on all the switchgear. It's got your regen pedal. You could actually do regen braking with this. And you have your nice large digital gauge cluster where you could go through a cornucopia of different information, which is nice, easy to read. You can make your adjustments. Maybe you want to have time and temp. Maybe you want pitch and roll. Easy to put all of that information right there for you, all by the touch of a button. And the fact that it's not gloss black is nice. And this is a power tilting and telescoping steering wheel. But why don't we go ahead, let's get in the back seat and see where your passengers are going to enjoy you doing the crab walk in this Hummer. All right, guys, back seat time in this Hummer EV SUV. And there's just a generous amount of room. I mean, that's another benefit. With this being an EV, the floor is very low, and look how flat it is. No big, huge tunnel or anything like that that's gonna block your passenger's leg room. Backs of the seat, you got the soft touch material, nice large pockets. You could put a couple books about the astronauts. Maybe you wanna read about Neil Armstrong. Maybe you didn't even know who Neil Armstrong was. Maybe you thought it was Lance Armstrong who landed on the moon. No, Lance Armstrong is the guy who had testicular cancer that then used performance-enhancing drugs to win all those Tour de France races on his bicycle. And I'll be honest, I was heartbroken. I had the Live Strong bracelet. I made donations to Live Strong. I read both of his books. But look what happened. He lied to everybody. Now, the back of the command center, you do have your blower fan. You have your temperature. Just heated seats, no ventilated seats with your AC vents down there, USB-C, USB-A, and you got a place for 6 Twinkies. And I am gonna zonk that there's no ventilated seats. Seats are comfy, pull it down, nice center armrest, the 2-tone, but let's get into the cargo area because I wanna go for a spin in this Hummer. It's time to open up the rear cargo area. Now you can hit this button to open it up, but I'm gonna do it the cool way. You could actually do it with the key fob. So you hit the button twice, door opens, and look at all of that cargo space. So how much are you looking at? With the rear seat up, you're looking at 35.9 cubic feet of space. You fold the rear seat down, that's gonna give you over 80 cubic feet of space. I love the way you got your switch gear. Allows you to put the seats down, 1, 2, 3, 60-40 split. Look at that, that's over 80 cubic feet of space. On the driver's side, we do have a home power source, and you have space for 4 boxes of Twinkies. You could actually do a box of Twinkies, a box of Ho-Hos, Ding Dongs, and maybe even throw in a couple boxes of Star Crunch back there. But nice to have all of that usable space. But man, just think if it had an internal combustion engine. Now to close it, you could use the remote. Just like before, look at that. Just make sure you're not parallel parked or that's gonna be a problem. But what's not a problem is that I got the keys, we're charged up. Why don't we go for an on-throttle spin in this Hummer? All right, guys, we're inside this 2025 GMC Hummer EV SUV 2X. And right away, I mean, it's very, very comfortable. The windshield is a little tight, but with that being said, it makes you feel like you're in something special. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna go into the modes here. I'm gonna change it into, let's see, you got off-road, you got terrain. I think we're just gonna keep things, let's just keep things normal. I think that's gonna be the best way to go since we are not going off-road whatsoever. You do have your easy access touch screen there to activate your one pedal operation, and you have your regen paddle on the back of the wheel, which is just like the brake pedal. Getting to that over 13-inch screen is well within reach. And just like I showed you earlier, being able to kind of showcase the information, it's very, very easy to do with the way they have everything set up with this display. Just makes sense and just very, very straightforward, which I like. It's good to be able to access all that information very, very easily. Tons of storage. Got your wireless charging, heated seats, ventilated seats, and the space in here, that's another thing. The amount of room you have is quite substantial in one of these GMC Hummer EV SUVs. But the technology is what really makes it, not only with the electric motors, but also with crab walk, with the rear wheel steer, and having the dual electric motors. Still gonna give you plenty of pep, which is nice. And we're gonna go on throttle. You ready? On throttle, here we go. It's crazy how the front of the Hummer EV SUV raises up. It really gives it such a unique driving experience. And with rear wheel steer on, it allows you to carve through tight places very, very easily. But going down the road, it's very smooth, it's comfortable. And you know, you are going to get a little bit more wind noise and road noise because of the off-road style tires, and also especially because of the removable roof panels. But it's not as loud as, say, a Bronco or a Jeep Wrangler when it comes to wind noise, which is good. But I really do love the driving characteristics of this thing, especially with the way that the body moves around on the adaptive air ride suspension. Just gives it a unique feel. I could go into my cameras. We're gonna pull up the cameras here very easily. So once you find that icon, there it is right in front of you. And this is also gonna allow you to drive your Hummer EV SUV more successfully because of all the different cameras that allows you to see the blind spots and everything, all by the press of a button on the screen, which is nice. We do have our off-road information, and then having the ability to wire things into your Hummer EV SUV is really nice as well. But on throttle, here we go. Just has a heck of a presence. And with the all-wheel drive, of course, you're getting that instant grip, and you just feel like you're in a tank, man. And I mean, this almost weighs as much as a tank, so kind of makes sense. But quite maneuverable for the type of vehicle that it is. Now, crab walk can get you out of some sticky situations, but I think it's more about having that to impress your friends and just amaze people when you're able to drive diagonally. But you have all the safety features that you can imagine. Plus, you just have a really comfortable environment to drive in. And the design, they just nailed it. They just got it perfect. They really did. But if you haven't been behind the wheel of one of these, the SUV is much more comfortable to drive just because of the smaller size of it. You got your digital gauge cluster that's easy to read right through the opening of the steering wheel, and the soft touch everywhere in here feels great. What's really cool is that by using the center of the mode selector, I could actually raise and lower the Hummer as we're sitting here. So now it's actually raising the vehicle all by the press of a button, and that's part of that adaptive air ride suspension. And it does it so nicely that you barely even feel it. Really, really cool to have that kind of technology all at your fingertips. The gauge cluster with your charge gauge. You got the gauge for how much battery life you have left, the range. Just very, very well laid out. But I think you're going to be surprised by how easy it is to drive this vehicle. Not difficult at all. Got that nice digital rear view mirror. Another thing that's cool is that it doesn't make a bunch of fake noise. You just hear like a light whine of the motors. Of course, you're hearing the tire noise with those off-road style tires. But other than that, it's not a bunch of artificial noise being pumped in, which is good. But just really smooth. And it's nice that you have the ability to turn on and off the one pedal braking, which is good. It's just crazy how much body movement there is when it comes to going on the brakes. On throttle, here we go. Nose to the sky. Let's see how she handles in this right-hand bend. Obviously, with it being an EV, the center of gravity is very low, or at least much lower than a regular SUV, so the handling is actually quite responsive, especially with the rear wheel steer. But the fact that I can now lower the vehicle back to normal while we're driving, that to me is really, really cool. And of course, you know, the comfort you're getting as well with that air ride suspension is super nice. And then of course we can't forget GM Super Cruise, the best hands-free autonomous driving you're going to find on the market. It's in this Hummer, and it's very easy to activate and know how it's working and then shut it off all by the press of a button. But I'm hoping that this has been a good, quick overall review of this Hummer EV SUV, especially with this being a 2X. We're going to get back to Tasca Buick GMC in Palm Harbor and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, it's been another great day here at Tasca Buick GMC Palm Harbor. Definitely got to thank Dean and the rest of the crew getting us access to this 2025 GMC Hummer EV SUV, a 2X. Is it the must-have new SUV? Let me know in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit the subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raised Rise family. We got to thank Stephen Flood for forgetting to film the outro for this review. So thank you, Stephen, for all that you're doing. Just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.